I kneel before you, with admiration and respect for what you are doing on earth. You are opening new paths of consciousness, and you are doing this while still carrying the weights of the past within you. Old sufferings and anxieties come to the fore exactly because new modes of consciousness are infiltrating your perception, your body and your emotions. In the actual creation of new paths of consciousness, you heal the old pain. It seems like this should have happened in the past. You've been on Earth so many times before, but so far it was not possible to create new paths. There was still too much awareness attached to the old institutions of power and authority, and people were trapped by the fear of being unable to survive, by anxiety on the physical plane, or by the fear of being socially ostracized. These fears are very deep in people. If you do not know who you are, if you are immersed in the structures of unconsciousness that is maintained by society, then you believe that it is your body, and the fear of survival reaches you in the depths of your being, for in this case you die means to be destroyed. There are intense impulses to resist, and these can lead to the destruction of another person, if necessary, to ensure their own survival. This is a primitive basic fear. And there is also the fear of being banned from society, of not being able to belong to the group, which is also a very deep fear in people. If you are not aware of your soul self, of your divine essence, you think it is a body, and that it is a socially shaped personality in that body. Personality, which is formed by the social influences of the past, was and is still being shaped by fear. You want to belong to the group, wants to be accepted by other people. There is a helpless part in you that wants to be sustained, approved, and welcomed. This is the part of you that you want to belong to, and it is still very strong in all people. You have just emerged from a way of thinking and living that was dominated by power and powerlessness, which was under the domain of fear. Feel yourself in your own energy field where these old energies are still working. Feel it intuitively. Observe if there are gray areas, or even darker areas, visibly acting on your aura or your body. Notice the action of these old energies, such as anxiety, exaggerated obedience, fear for survival, and fear of being rejected and alone. These are the two biggest fears that limited people in the past. The transition to the new takes time. You may well imagine that there is much work to do to give up old fears, to actually rely on hard consciousness, a new consciousness that states that you are not just your body. Your body is part of you, it is a precious part in which you live temporarily and through which you express yourself. But you are much more than that. You are a soul consciousness, a living light, which is independent of physical and material forms. This is a great leap of conscience. And perhaps even a bigger leap is the fact that you are free of social pressure. Because social pressure, having to belong to the group, often leads people to the lowest vibratory level crowd consciousness. Usually that which dominates a group or a multitude, a power structure or an individual, evokes the greatest fears in people and manipulates them. These fears are the two biggest obstacles people have experienced in the past. And thanks to these fears, they descend into the space of we, belonging, opposing other people or things outside their group. And so they begin to think in terms of us against them, so that belonging to the group becomes vital. Fear, then, must always be confirmed, along with justified solutions to it. The way to deal with these fears includes violence and mastery of those outside the group. These themes are coming to the surface very strongly at this time, as you can see in the world around them. A greater consciousness is needed now, a consciousness that connects and sees equality among all people, even if they come from totally different backgrounds, with different histories and cultures. A consciousness that sees in the other what you have in common, even though it is very different from you. This is the task of this moment, both on the individual level, inside, as between countries and cultures. This is the great breakdown of barriers that will heal the world. And the greatest step for this cure is to abandon identification with your body and with your socially formed personality. Is to rise above these identifications and again recognize the call of your soul. Your soul tells you that everything is possible, while the fear in you implies that very little is possible, that you need to protect yourself, for example, from others, or from illness, but the soul that lives in you is brave and strong, she transcends the limitations. I would like to tell you that you, the person I am talking to now, have been helping to raise awareness on earth for many lives and for quite some time before this life. You have experienced the sense of oneness of which I speak, the fact of being more than one body, the feeling of being one with another, even if the other comes from an experience very different from yours. You already know the feeling of wanting to rise above class and social standing, although this energy has not always been welcome on earth. It was a learning process having to deal with the difference between your way of feeling and thinking and the way you feel and think about the world around you, or with the way most people perceive things. And do not forget that many people would like to think differently, they would like to feel differently, because no one is happy in the grip of fear, no one wants it. What is happening at this time is that people are getting more and more tired of life based on fear. There is now so much new energy in the Earth's atmosphere, such an intense sensation of the possibility of things being different, that people are awakening. And certainly young people, the new generations that are being born on Earth, are feeling more and more the taste of this new energy that you have been carrying with you for centuries, and you feel less and less pleasure in the old ways of being and living. But from the standpoint of existing thought patterns, this new generation energy is something wild, chaotic, that does not conform to established norms and leads to behavioral problems. However, this energy contains the labor pains. Something new is wanting to be born. I come now to the main point of this conversation. You are here as a mentor, to serve as a midwife at the birth of this new energy, at this time. However, this requires a lot from you, because you still carry within you the traumas of bad judgments and rejection. You know what it's like to be judged for your innovative ideas. Part of your legacy is to be socially isolated, to be different, and this has been leaving you with emotional wounds from the day you were born, actually, even before your life began. This is the moment when you will be asked to step out of your shell, to show yourself, to introduce yourself, to help the new energy that is now manifested especially through young people, and to guide them, so to speak. You can be a channel because you have a deep understanding of both the old and the new. You keep a light in the old energy, for which you have been hurt, so you can have compassion for people who are afraid of being rejected and left alone. You also have compassion for people who are terrified of dying, believing that there is nothing beyond the physical body. Your consciousness has expanded precisely because you had to live and work in the dark, so you are one of those who can be a bridge between the old and the new. So I appeal to you. I ask you to assume your natural place, though I know how much this effort can cost you. You have become so accustomed to thinking that there is no place for you, that you feel totally worn out by the effort. But it is precisely at this point that you are led to perform your task. The moment you think, I give up, there's nothing else I can do, this becomes the turning point, when you finally get to let anything that happens to flow through you. You leave aside your personal will, your ideas of how things should be, and allow yourself to move with the flow of your soul. The power you developed, and also the pain you suffered, somehow broke your ego. And this is a painful process, for every ego is against pain and being shattered. However, this is the only way, because in a sense, the pain and trauma that you carry with you are part of the path. When you really feel this pain and surround it with compassion, you let it go. You want to die, so to speak, because of the knowledge that something greater is carrying you. You surrender to your deepest and truest essence, and no longer struggle against earthly reality. You even give up trying to convince others, because you have truly become yourself. You are no longer here to change others, nor are you here to change yourself. It's just you. And this is exactly your bridge function, which is your natural place. This is what I mean when I say take your natural place. Have compassion for yourself and for the old pain that lingers in your life, and let healing just happen. By seeing this process as part of your path, and leaving the old pain where it is, healing will happen by itself. Help will come to you from all sides. Everything that aspires to life, growth and joy, wants to be useful to you, the guides, the auxiliary forces of the universe. You just have to be willing to take your natural place and say to yourself, I will no longer live on according to fear. The fears may still be around, but I am more, much more than that. And I remember this every day. Then you will see that life takes you to the place where you belong, where you feel good, where you can experience joy and happiness. Being a worker of the light, the one who brings the change, no longer has to be a heavy duty and full of agony. This belongs to the past and is no longer your destiny. The road to the new also means for you a new birth, at peace with the earth and where you can take your place in a natural way. And finally, notice if the words take your natural place bring images spontaneously into your mind. It may come to mind places of your daily life, or situations, or occupations, or something that might be a possibility for the future. Where do you feel really relaxed and happy? These are the places where you can let your energy flow naturally. See if someone calls you, maybe you recognize him as a known person. Or maybe there's an ambience in your mental vision, see if there's a place that cheerfully invites you to go there. And do not be afraid to try things out, because there is plenty of room to play freely. Assuming your power is to come back to feel at home on earth being who you really are and taking your place here. This seems very simple, but it is the culmination of a long journey that you have created as a soul. I ask you to give yourself to this place. He is no longer so far away. Thank you so much for your attention.